Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the news briefing this Wednesday, February 18th. Our first item is an opportunity for small businesses and entrepreneurs. The Monterey County Business Council has opened up vendor applications for El Mercadito, which is a new community pop-up market that will take place in the city of Soledad. The market is designed to help local vendors showcase their products and connect with customers and grow their business. Applications are available in English and Spanish, and the deadline is coming up very, very soon, which will be on Friday, February 20th. And here to tell us more, we have José Barajas, Program Manager with the Monterey County Business Council. Thank you for joining us, Jose.
Thank you for having me, Maite. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. I have some slides to share with you all. Just want to confirm that you're all seeing my screen, the Mercadito slides.
Yes, we see your screen.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Like I mentioned, José Barajas with the Monterey County Business Council. A little bit more about El Mercadito. El Mercadito, how did we kind of get here to the whole concept of having a Mercadito specifically dedicated for South Monterey County? Well, in particular, the Business Council operates the Building Business Back program, which is a program of the County of Monterey operated in partnership with the Monterey County Business Council. And this program is really aimed at supporting our historically underserved businesses and entrepreneurs across Monterey County. In this case, the county defined as historically underserved businesses as those belonging in the unincorporated areas of Monterey County, as well as those that are owned or operated by owners that are minorities, women, and or belong to the LGBT2+ community. In doing so, one of our biggest outreach efforts has been for South Monterey County and really uplifting our entrepreneurs and small business owners down there. Last year, the Small Business Development Center, hosted by the Business Council, Central Coast SBDC, hosted its first SBDC Day celebration down in the city of Soledad. And it was a really great partnership. We had a business expo with over 25 local vendors and resource providers down along Front Street in Soledad. And we continued that collaboration later in 2025 with SBDC and Holiday Night Market over in Soledad as well. Just getting a little bit more comfortable with organizing these events on a more frequent basis. And after hosting the Holiday Night Market, we got a lot of feedback from the vendors and community members like, hey, you guys should continue doing this more frequently, but how can we make this more South County focused and like really live up to the name of supporting our South County businesses? So one of the things that we kind of came up with for really supporting the South County businesses was ensuring that the South County businesses had priority when it came to applications and participation. And what we mean by that is everyone is welcome to apply, folks from outside the county, folks from within the county, from outside the South Monterey County region. However, if we have two taco vendors, one of them is from South Monterey County, another one is from Salinas, the one in South Monterey County will have a preference over someone else that's outside of the area, right? And I think that's one of the things that really distinguishes this particular effort, El Mercadito, from other markets or other farmers markets or other initiatives, is that we really are giving priority to the South County businesses. It's tentatively planned to be hosted on a monthly basis from April through September. And then once we hit the holiday season from October through December, we will move into a bi-monthly format. The actual market's going to be from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. Vendors, the fees are $50 for non-food vendors, $80 for food vendors, and we have planned activities with different community-based organizations like local folklorical groups from the high schools, marching bands, and other community performers. So if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out from that perspective as well. And it's also really meant to provide a more family-friendly, welcoming space for folks in South Monterey County, creating more opportunities, not just for the entrepreneurs, but for the residents of South County to also have something nice to do on a weekend. As for what are some of the next steps, right? So one of the things that we are promoting right now is the application itself. Do want to note that although we are closing the application this Friday, February 20th at 5 p.m., we will continue accepting applications on a rolling basis. This is just to get in for the first initial April market. As with most events, there tends to be some openings as the year carries on. So just keep an eye out for that. If you're not able to get in on the first round, keep an eye out, and hopefully you're able to participate in a future round. All applicants will be notified of whether they were selected or not no later than next Friday, February 27th at 5 p.m. And the first market will be Saturday, April 4th. The vendor application can be found online on our website or our link tree, linktr.ee/Monterey County Business. And as previously mentioned, it's available in English and in Spanish. And these are just some of the flyers. If anyone has any questions, they can contact me directly, Jose at mcbc.biz. And also wanted to highlight, as part of making it more of a community and collaborative effort, the logo itself for El Mercadito is also part of a design contest, right, that we're hosting in collaboration with the City of Soledad and the Soledad Chamber of Commerce. We've received some submissions so far and welcome any additional submissions on, what does El Mercadito mean to folks down in South County, right? Something that reflects the spirit of South County, whether that's through, the agricultural roots, cultural traditions, or just creating a logo that's flashy and really fits the mood of the market. And that's largely it, unless you guys have any additional questions. We're also providing technical assistance for anyone that needs any help filling out the application, even though it's all online. We do have offices in Monterey, Soledad, and the city of Salinas. So if anyone needs any assistance filling out any of those applications, they can give me a call and we can coordinate some time to help them fill that out as well. And same for any permits. They don't need to have all their permits in order to apply. We will work with vendors who don't have all their permits in order after the fact to make sure that they're up and ready by April 4th.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for sharing this information. And because you did mention permits, I'm wondering if you could maybe cover if there are any specific requirements from those small businesses.
There are a few. So one thing that folks will be needing, if they're a non-food vendor, they will need a City of Soledad business license. So we do just kind of refer folks over to the City of Soledad since they're the ones that will be processing those applications. But in order to apply for your business license, you do need to have your EIN, your employer identification number, which you need to get through the IRS. And you can get that online at no cost. And you would also need your seller's permit if, depending on the nature of the good or service, you may or may not need a seller's permit, which is a California Department of Tax and Fee Administration thing. Then they can also do that online at no cost. Those are the only three things that they would need for non-food vendors. For food vendors, the added complexity would be, depending on the type of food vendor, the type of food permit that they might need, whether that's a temporary food facility, mobile food facility, a food truck permit, depending on the type of food business, what additional environmental health permits they'll need. But they're always welcome to go ahead and just give us a call. We're happy to walk them through what those permits are for their particular business or product.
Perfect. Well, we see the phone number here. That's 831-216-3000. So I appreciate you sharing that and clarifying that. I do want to go talk a little bit more about any concerns or hesitations that you hear from small business owners. What would you tell them if they have hesitation as far as applying?
Some hesitation that we've seen from folks is more so those folks that have been operating perhaps a business, quote unquote, but informally, right, out of their homes. Like, hey, I would love to participate, but I don't have my permits, but I have been selling and I don't want to get in trouble. We just like to remind folks that we ourselves are not a regulatory agency. So you telling us like, hey, I want to formalize this business, it doesn't necessarily preclude you from anything, nor are we going to go and talk to another agency or report that to another agency. We're here to help folks figure that out every step of the way, right? So regardless of whatever question folks may have on, am I able to sell gelatinas? Yes or no, right? Can I sell this product? Yes or no? There's different things there's a lot of nuances to business and to permits and all that whole process. And it can be scary and it can be convoluted, but that's exactly what we're here for. We're here to sit down with folks, have that conversation, and walk them every step of the way.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying that. And then if you can remind us one more time, deadline is this Friday, but they can continue submitting applications if they're not selected the first round?
Correct. They can continue submitting applications. We will go ahead and close it out this Friday, though, just so we can go ahead and process those applications, let those initial round of applicants know, and we'll go ahead and publish it and announce again when we're accepting applications, when they're open again for the rolling basis.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I think that's all I had as far as questions. But if we get any more, we'll be sure to send them your way. And I appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you again.
Thank you, Maitha.
Now, our next and final item is a helpful resource for seniors in our community. The Alliance on Aging is offering free income tax preparation assistance for eligible seniors. Volunteer tax counselors are available to help low-income taxpayers age 60 and older to complete their 2025 federal and California tax returns. The service is available through many locations, including our Monterey County Free Libraries at the Marina, Greenfield, and King City branch libraries, and appointments are required. Today, we are joined by Rita Hill, who is a tax program coordinator with the Alliance on Aging, to tell us more about the program and how residents can benefit from the service. Hi, Rita. Thank you for being here today. Let's see if she'll be on. See, she's on the screen. Let's give her 1 second.
Okay, I was trying to
There you go.
unmute myself and I couldn't do it.
No worries. We're glad to have you on today.
Hi, I am in awe of Jose's slides. No, I don't want to show mine. His were awesome. Fantastic job.
Well, honestly, we appreciate any information that you bring to us, and we're just happy to have you on to really share. I still think it's really valuable information to have you on and share this resource.
Okay, so can you do my slides or should I go ahead and load them? Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alliance on Aging is an organization. We're a nonprofit that helps seniors. Now we help them. If you could just go ahead and go to the next slide. Let me go over our mission statement real quickly. The Alliance on Aging's mission is to provide services, resources, and advocate at no cost to older seniors or older adults in Monterey County. We promote independence, dignity, and well-being while addressing the challenges and opportunities of aging. Our goal is to ensure seniors are supported, seen, and valued. If you could go to the next slide. Our impact for last year, I'm going to go over some of the services that we've offered in some of the other programs, and then I'll go into the tax program. Last year, we helped over 2,340 individuals, not just seniors. We also help people with disabilities. And if you bring your grandma in and you need your taxes done, we'll help you as well. The end result for that was over $1 million. 365 dollars in federal refunds and $270,000 in state refunds. We also provide Medicare counseling to individuals. So as people start turning 65, we go over the ins and outs of Medicare. And then we have something called open enrollment at the end of the year. You've probably seen the ads on TV for open enrollment for the different drug companies, the different drug plans, Part D, and also Part C. We help clients with that, and we've been able to help save over $1 million in fees that they may have had to pay if they didn't come in and talk to our counselors. We have outreach events. We do outreach referrals and give resource information to individuals if they come in, if they need help or assistance with PG&E or transportation or maybe food stamps, helping apply for Medicare, Medi-Cal. We help with that. We also have the Ombudsman program, and the Ombudsman are a group of volunteers that go into care facilities and they check in with seniors that are in care facilities, and if there anything that needs to be investigated, if they have issues with maybe some of the care that they're getting, or the family members are concerned about the care that seniors receiving at one of the facilities, they can reach out to us and we try and advocate for them. We also have something called peer counseling. So we help seniors with some of the issues that they have with aging, where they can have group counseling or one-on-one counseling. And then we also have something called the Hub, which is in Salinas, where we have different activities. We have social events, farmers markets, cooking classes, wellness classes, art classes, chair yoga, a lot of different events that are available for the seniors. And almost everything is at no cost. If you want to go on to the next slide, and we just go over, these are just all the different programs that we have that I just mentioned. And we are a nonprofit, and we try to advocate for healthy aging for the seniors. And then we can go on down to my program. If you could go there, taxes. I love taxes. I can talk taxes all day. I can only talk to you about them for about 10 minutes. So let me go ahead and get started. We have approximately 30 volunteers that prepare taxes throughout Monterey County. We help people determine, one, if they have a filing requirement. We then determine the correct filing status, any deductions and credits that they may have. All our services are free. We e-file the returns, and then also during the year after tax season's over, we help people fill out maybe W-4s or help them with maybe estimated taxes, and just helping them understand some of the ins and outs of different phases of the tax program. If you can go to the next one, we have filing statuses. So depending upon your filing status, you have different standard deductions. We try to explain standard deductions to seniors. You know, some people want to itemize, and then we try to tell them, well, if you look at the standard deduction and compare it to what you might have in itemization, the standard deduction might be better for you. There are also some additional deductions available if you're older than 65 or if you have disabilities. And then some of the types of common income that we help with is W-2s. If you are working a job, you get a W-2. If you've retired, there's pensions, there's IRAs, IRA distributions. A majority of our clients have Social Security, and then there's also interest and dividends, and then also stocks, sales of stocks and bonds. And then Social Security. This has been an interesting year because of some of the changes. Social Security may be partially taxable depending upon other income. Even though a lot of people heard there would be no tax on Social Security, there's still tax on Social Security. And depending upon what other income you have, up to 85% of your Social Security may be taxable. It depends upon your tax situation. If you have a Roth IRA, there's different types of IRAs. There's traditional IRA, which is taxable. When you withdraw the money, if you created a Roth IRA, you've already paid tax on it. And after 5 years, you can take that money out and not have to pay tax again. Traditional IRAs and pensions, as I mentioned earlier, are usually taxable. Okay. The deductions, most people take the standard deduction because in order to itemize, I kind of mentioned it in the earlier screens, you need to have deductions that are above the threshold of the numbers that I mentioned earlier. Some things that you can use to itemize are medical expenses, but medical expenses are not a dollar for dollar. It's a percentage of your medical expenses. Your charitable donations, you can write off mortgage interest and also property tax. Just depending upon what you have and how much you have. We still go ahead and enter the itemized deductions because we do both California and federal. And the federal standard is so much higher than the California, so you may not be able to itemize on the federal side, but you might on the California side. Okay, and then there's tax credits. Credits reduce your tax, but they are only beneficial if you owe. There are some examples of credits that you can get a refund for, but in most cases, credits just reduce what you owe. The child tax credit and some educational credits are actual credits that you could get as a refund, but in most cases, they don't. They just reduce what you actually owe. And then a refund, and this is an interesting thing. A lot of people want refunds, but in reality, a refund is that you just paid too much tax during the tax year. The IRS, their actual goal is that you are at $0 when you file your tax return. So if you go in and file a tax return and we tell you you're not getting a refund, but you don't owe, that's actually where you want to be, because why would you want them to have your money all year long? That could be money you could be spending on something else. A balance due then obviously is the opposite. You didn't have enough tax taken out. Now, we help clients with establishing, if they get a huge refund, we try and explain to them that maybe they should change their withholdings. But we explain to them the opposite. If you owe more than $1,000, there are penalties. And if you owe year after year, the penalties are stiffer. They come after you. We also help people with payment options. If you owe, and you want to set up a payment plan, we'll help you fill out those applications. We also show you, how you can go online and make payments, or you can mail the payments in. Now, something new this year, if you do get a refund, the IRS wants direct deposit. They are not sending out checks. Now, you may hear things differently, but firsthand, I'm experiencing it. If you ask for a refund, strongly encourage direct deposit because they will hold on to your refund for up to 6 weeks. And then here we go. We're free. We prepared tax returns for not only seniors, but as I mentioned earlier, people with disabilities, or like if you bring your grandma in and you're sitting there waiting with her and you have your paperwork, we'll go ahead and help you out. All of our volunteers are trained. They go through extensive training. We actually, in conjunction with United Way, have training in October for 6 weeks, and then again in January for 6 weeks. So in October, we do the training here on the peninsula at CSUMB. And then in January through February, we do the training in Salinas at our 236 address. We work with the IRS. We meet with them, and I actually have some retired IRS people helping us with the tax preparation. And then I think the next slide. This is what we need. If we are to do your taxes, obviously we'll need a picture ID to make sure it's really you, Social Security, and then we also do ITNs for those that are undocumented, we help them. These are, if you can bring your tax return from last year, it helps us because then we can see how you filed last year. In some cases, maybe you don't have all your documents. We can look at last year's and say, okay, well, last year you had a retirement from the government, but you don't this year, did you forget it? Did you not get it? Did you cash everything in? So it helps to have those documents. Again, we ask for the bank account, the name of the bank, and the routing number for direct deposit. And then if you received any letters last year from the IRS, we would like to take a look at those as well. These are the different sites that we have. As you can see, we have a strong presence on the peninsula, Carmel Foundation, Schultz Park in Monterey, Meals on Wheels in Pacific Grove, and then we have 3 libraries that we're at. Marina Library, and I'm actually here today doing taxes. The Greenfield Library and the King City Library, our Alliance on Aging Hub, and then Oldemeyer in Seaside. To schedule an appointment, they can call Alliance on Aging, and I didn't include the number for Selena, so I apologize for that. Or they can actually go onto our website, and we have a self-scheduling tool out there where you can schedule your own appointment. And then here are the new changes for this year. These are parts of the big bill. There is no federal income tax on overtime pay. If your W-2 does not show the fact that you received overtime, we would ask the client to bring in their last pay stub so we can look at the overtime and make sure that we subtract that from their bottom line. There's no federal income tax on tips, and that is on your W-2. And then there's a possible deduction of interest on American-made vehicles. And please ignore that proposal. I thought I took that off, but I didn't. And then there's a new tax credit for seniors under a certain income level. It's $6,000 per senior, and it's automatically a credit that comes off what you owe. It doesn't really help you if you're getting a refund, but it does reduce any potential that you may owe. I think that's it for me. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for covering this, and this seems like it's a really great resource. So we really appreciate you being here today and sharing this information. I do have a couple of questions that came up as you were presenting. I'm wondering if maybe you can talk about the barriers that perhaps seniors commonly face when trying to file their own taxes.
I used to, when I started, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but when I started, we did everything paper and pencil. And taxes were pretty straightforward. You could look at a line and say, okay, in line 1, that's where my income goes. And line whatever, and I apologize, I don't remember the line numbers anymore. But you could look at the tax return and figure out what needed to be in that little column. Taxes are so complicated now that when you try to do a tax return, the figure that's on that first page it comes from a Schedule 2 or a Schedule 3 or a Schedule A or a Schedule C. And then it rolls up, and then you have to do some calculations. So for us, since we're doing them for free, we strongly encourage that people come in and let us do them. The other thing is the IRS does not want paper. If you try to find a tax return, the libraries don't have them yet. They do the California, but not the federal. The federal, because of the layoffs last year, they don't have enough employees. And my understanding is that the number of paper returns in the backlog is larger now than it was during COVID.
Got it. Yeah, no, so that's a great reminder, to come in and get the assistance that you need. Have you heard any concerns or what are any of the concerns that you hear when people call your office? I know sometimes there could be fear whether this is actually, legitimate help.
Oh, we get that all the time, because it is, you have to trust the people. We do a background check on all our volunteers, but, we're asking for a leap of faith on their part. They're giving us their social security number. They're giving us their banking information. We've been doing taxes since 1970. I can't do the math right now, and I should be able to since I do taxes, but I can't. We're established, and we work with the IRS. We work with the state of California, FTB. They come down, they do audits on us. And like I mentioned, I actually have retired IRS volunteers that come down. We're
Great.
good people.
Yeah.
We're good people.
Yeah, no, and that's always good to give reassurance because I know sometimes there's that fear you're giving away a lot of, personal information.
Yeah.
But it's good reassurance to let them know that they can trust. And then last question that I do have here, are there any language or accessibility accommodations that are available if seniors request it? For example, if someone needs an appointment in Spanish?
Yes, we do. We actually have I'm not bilingual. Well, I am bilingual, but not in Spanish. But I have bilingual volunteers, and we have documentation in English and Spanish. And if there's another language that's requested, I can print certain documents in other languages. But most common in this area is either in English or in Spanish. And we're able to accommodate. We do have some people who have disabilities that are visually impaired. One of the things that we have is we have a lot of seniors with, a lot of diseases, not diseases, I don't even know how to say it. We see I've noticed a lot of Parkinson's where people can't hold pens anymore, so we help them fill out their forms. And then there's also people with hearing disabilities. We try and work with them. We try to accommodate to the best of our abilities. One of the things that I didn't mention is that we actually have volunteers that if we have people that are homebound, they go to their home and help them with their taxes. And then we may not be able to do the taxes at their home, so we take them to our sites, we do them, we have someone always looks at our work, so we have two people looking at every tax return to make sure that it's accurate, because this is one thing we want to do is make sure that when we e-file a return for you, that's as accurate as possible. We don't want to send incorrect information out, and we don't want anybody to not trust us with what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that information. And this seems like a really great resource. So thank you so much for being here today, for sharing this, and we'll definitely be sure to send this out.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
again.
you. And you know, go ahead and have them just go online if they can. One of the things that, another thing that we do have is we have people who, because of the generational gap, they may not be computer savvy. We still call folks and let them know we're scheduling appointments. But we are trying to help them get into becoming computer literate or maybe using their phones. One of the things that we have at the agency, and then I apologize, didn't mention, is that we have Fishes and Loaves comes in and they do computer training. So they teach you how to use a computer or how to use your phone. And we're trying to help people make their lives a little more easier by using technology.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. We'll definitely be sure to include that as well. And like I mentioned, this seems like a really great resource, so we appreciate you being here today. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing will be next week, and we'll see you then.